What's up, everybody? Welcome to our first ever Facebook Live session. This is exciting. We're calling this the Digital Marketing Jam session, and basically it's kind of just a low-key Facebook hangout. We'll have hopefully every Friday. I know there's going to be some in the future where we won't be able to do them on Fridays. But for as many Fridays as you guys want, we'll be answering questions for a half hour. We'll try to keep it at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. If this is something that you think you might have some friends, or maybe it's a page you manage or a group, feel free below to share this feed with whoever you like and we can fill it up. And if you haven't asked questions in the event and you do have a question that you want answered and you're watching this live right now, it's not replay or anything, go ahead and post your question below and I will do my best to get to it. I know we have some good ones here right now. So let's go ahead and get the party started. And if anything goes wrong with audio or video, please let me know. Just go ahead and, again, put that in the comments and we'll get that taken care of. So I've got some good questions here that have been submitted, some of them previously before the jam session went live, just because we had some students who had some questions that hadn't gotten answered yet. So I wanted to answer some of those. So our first question comes from Steven, and he wants to know, for somebody who is just starting out and they're wanting to build an email list, what would we recommend those first steps be, and if MailChimp is a good option? So I think MailChimp is a great option. If you're brand new to digital, or if you're brand new to email marketing, MailChimp is super, super easy to use, and it's free to start out. Anybody can start out. Just create a MailChimp account. You can have up to 500 subscribers without paying a dime. Now, if you do want to do the more automated features to kind of build some lead funnels or sales funnels, you will have to pay at least $10 a month. So it does start out pretty cheap. However, as you grow into the thousands, tens of thousands, it starts to get a little bit more pricey, and that's where you may want to look at some other options such as HubSpot or Marketo, which are really good platforms for that as well, but they are a little bit more premium priced. So definitely start out with MailChimp. It's very user-friendly, and a lot of huge tech companies today who are doing millions in revenue still use MailChimp. So they have a huge community behind it, huge support community. And I would, as far as collecting those emails, often you just need to start out in the obvious places. So many people have an email list, but they're not asking for emails on their website even. And the ones that are going about it in a very ineffective way. So you want to make sure that you're offering them something. So whether if you have a lot of blog posts and they're very informative and they're valuable, go ahead and take maybe your 10 best blog posts and kind of compile it into a quick free ebook. And so for anyone who wants to download your free ebook, which is kind of the best of highlights of your blog, you don't even have to say that. That will help get you a lot of emails. So the key is just offering something exclusive and offering something of value. Don't just say join our newsletter. I would not even use the word newsletter, just because that's such a turnoff in 2016. Like, people want to just see the immediate value. They don't want to be spammed with a newsletter. And outside of that, some other ideas are obviously, offering coupons. Those are really good. And I would also really recommend, especially starting out, and this is something you can keep doing even as you have a big list, is run competitions, contests, and give something of value away, whether it's a subscription to your service or $50 to go, and eat at your restaurant on you guys. Those are different types of things that people love to join. And the piece of software that I would recommend for that is called Gleam.io. So it's Gleam.io. And you can start running contests, again, completely free. If you do want some more of their fancier features, you do have to pay. I think it's like $30 a month. But honestly, the ROI on contests, if ran right, it's huge. Not just in emails, but in sales and in social interaction. Gleam is super cool to really get people to engage with your brand in order for them to participate in the competition. And then, of course, make sure you're using groups. Too many people, I know some companies who have thousands and thousands of subscribers, and they're sending the same message to all of their subscribers, and that's not very effective. You have customers, you have potential customers, you have people who have requested a refund and aren't in good terms with your business necessarily, or at least they're not looking at you positively. Those are kind of your win backs. So these 3 different audiences, for example, need 3 different messages. And again, MailChimp with the automation section makes it super easy to kind of have these automated messages go out to the different groups who need different messages. And so that's one really important thing. And I would recommend something like Zapier. Check that out, Zapier. And go ahead and put that into, it works with so many different platforms. It definitely works with MailChimp, but whether you're using WordPress or some other sort of CMS, there's a lot of ways that Zapier can integrate and do a lot of that for you without you having to put in a ton of work. So hopefully that helps you get kind of started on your email marketing. Great questions, Stephen. Obviously, if you have more to add, feel free to put that in the comments, or if you're watching this later, again, feel free to comment and kind of expound on where you're wanting to go with that. Then we have a question from Lisa. So she wanted to know tips for working with a bare bones budget. And it's a very simple question, yet it's a very in-depth question. A big part of what we do at Market Campus is we focus on those entrepreneurs or those startups who don't have huge marketing budgets, and maybe they don't even have $500 a month to put towards marketing. And in that case, there's a lot of things that you can do, and often they're still the most effective things you can do without spending a whole lot of money. So our course is really good about that, like recommending tools. I know, Lisa, you're a student, so you'll have access to all of that stuff. But the key to remember, especially when you're the little guy with little budget, is you can't beat Goliath playing Goliath's game. If you're competing against big companies like Target, Best Buy, Apple, Beats, all these, I guess Beats is Apple now, but these huge companies who are dumping millions and millions into advertising. And if you try to compete with them by playing the money game, you're going to lose 10 times out of 10. It's just a fact. Ben asked, did I say Dapier? Zapier, sorry. So spelled the same way, just a Z instead of a D. And that's Zapier.com. Starts out free, and then as you're starting to do a lot more tasks, you can pay a subscription each month. So with Lisa, I would say really focus on that quick ROI. There's 2 big things that you need to identify to do that. Where is the attention today? So look at your demographic. Where are they hanging out? And if you don't know, the easiest way to figure that out is ask where you're hanging out. What social networks are you using? What publications are you reading? Are there bloggers that you follow? Are there certain people on YouTube that you tend to follow? Because you are often your best customer, especially if you're the entrepreneur, you're the one who's really engaged with your brand. So find out where that attention is and then just own it. And you can really undercut the competition by identifying their weak spots. So if you notice that you notice that a big number of your potential customers are on Snapchat and none of your competitors are on Snapchat, that might be a way to kind of get in before they do. And that's the one big advantage that the little guy has against the big companies, is the big companies often wait until a network takes off. And at that point, their competitors have thousands, tens of thousands, possibly even millions of followers, and you're often late to the game. So don't wait until a network is taking off, or it's just, it's Facebook, because it's so hard to really grow an audience when you're the little guy on those saturated networks. So you've got to really be good, keep your ears open for those new social networks and different platforms, again, that your competitors are not on. So this does require a little bit of an audit, a competitive analysis. That is also something that you learn going through Market Campus on how to audit your competition, how to audit your website, and you can really identify the areas where you're doing better than the competition and where they're doing better than you, and you can kind of identify those weak areas. So those are kind of your quick wins. And the next question actually kind of goes along with it. I'm just checking out some of the comments there. Okay, so this is from John, and John wants to know, you're a one-man show, one-man band. how do you spend your time? What do you spend it on? And this is all too common. Especially with Market Campus, a huge number of our students are kind of those solo entrepreneurs who they have a project that they're getting ready to start, or maybe they have their startup and they wear many, many hats. So my one tip is analyze everything you're doing for an entire week, every task, every hour that you're spending, and you can even write those down or at least take mental note of how you're doing all of that. And then at the end of the week, identify again, where are you spending your time, how much, all this stuff, and find those tasks that you can quickly automate with stuff. If you're doing, you shouldn't be manually sending out email campaigns through MailChimp. If you start having a big list, even when you have a small list, automation is just super, super critical. Putting people in a sales funnel to where as soon as they're subscribed, they're automatically getting a chain of emails, warming them up for whatever your goal is. And even if your goal isn't sales, you have some sort of objective, even if it's to get them to be a volunteer at your food bank. You need to kind of warm these people up and get them familiar with your brand, and email is a super good way to do that. As far as social, I would really invest in something like Hootsuite. Hootsuite you can get for, if you have more than 3 profiles to manage, it's $15 a month. And the ROI you'll get on that, you can just block out Sunday nights from 6 p.m. to midnight and just get all of your social posts scheduled for multiple pages, multiple brands even. And then you're not having to worry about, oh crap, Tuesday morning, I got to figure out something to post. That takes so much time away from the more valuable things you could be doing. Look at Zapier. Just go to Zapier. Again, that's ZAPIER.com, and just type in the different platforms that you use and see how Zapier could help automate some of those things. If you're familiar with ifthenthenThat.com, Zapier is very similar, although it is a little bit more sophisticated in terms of that of marketers and businesses using it. And then if you find yourself answering a lot of emails, and a lot of those emails are the same questions over and over, if you're a company, I would consider investing in something like Typeform. So that's TYPE, then FORM.com. And you can build in some sort of logic jump. So if somebody, what's your question? Is your question about billing? Yes, it is. Are you asking about a refund? Yes, I am. And then it gives them the answer. They don't even have to email you. You just kind of run them through that process as they are about to contact you. And then you can still leave an option to contact you and, for any situations that aren't covered. As far as like those emails coming to you personally, especially if you're like kind of the solo entrepreneur and people have your email address, if you find that you're getting a lot of emails and there's some that just aren't important, but you also don't want to just leave them hanging, I learned this from 4-Hour Workweek, and it works really well. I kind of been testing it on and off, but you can just have an auto response on your Gmail, and that's free. Any account has that, and you can just say, hey, thanks so much for contacting me. If you're contacting me about this, here's my answer. If you're contacting me about this, here's this. If you don't hear back from me, if you're trying to sell me something and you don't hear back, just assume I'm not interested. Like, you kind of just have to be blunt, and I think people appreciate that. But that email is one of the biggest time suckers. And so that is something where you want to look into an autoresponder, and you'll also may want to look into hiring a VA or a virtual assistant. And these are people who you can hire super, super cheap, especially in other countries. They speak English great. I've heard just so many great things about people who have, or from people who have hired VAs, and they can really help take care of that whole customer service aspect. So that's something I would suggest, is looking at, again, the time that you're spending and automate as many of them as possible without sacrificing quality for your marketing, for your brand, or whatever it is. And some of these tools are paid, and the bottom line is you're going to have to suck it up and pay at least something in order to really start competing in today's, very competitive online market. And you have to just remember, it's still way cheaper than even hiring an intern in many of these cases. So take advantage of today's technology and how much can be automated Obviously, there's a lot of negative stuff that surrounds automation, but when done correctly and wisely, it can really help those one-man bands or those super small startups where there's 2 or 3 people get off the ground so they can focus on the more important tasks. And we had another question from Luis here. Luis wants to know tips on getting the most out of a digital marketing internship. He then kind of elaborated a little bit how he's noticed that marketers are often expected to be familiar with ROI and bottom line growth and all of that. What's the best way for him to go about that, as well as are there any certifications, free certifications out there that we would recommend? So let me start from the beginning on this. First, I'll end on this one. First with the ROI and all of that stuff. ROI is super simple, right? It's return on investment. You're putting in a return and you're hoping to get more out of it. If you're running a Facebook campaign for $100 and that campaign generates $120, yeah, you made a profit. I guess there's technically ROI, but not a big enough number. Like that's not enough for the company just to keep putting in $100 and just to make 20. However, if you notice that you're putting in $100 and you're making a $1,000 sale off each of those $100 ads, that's some pretty good ROI, right? And so that's something like when you understand that, you just have to look at everything and say, what is the time and the money I'm putting into this and how much is the company making? And you can track a lot of that stuff with your email analytics, your Google analytics, as well as any paid ads. Those all come with analytics and insights that can really help you gauge in how much you're spending per click. And so you just do the math super simple. Like look at your traffic right now and you may see that, okay, we have a 1% conversion rate. So when 100 people visit our website, we know that one of them is going to buy a product. And if your product costs $1,000, you would know that, okay, I can run an ad for $1,000 and I know I'm going to get $1 per click. That's going to be 1,000 people coming to my website, which means 10 of them are going to buy my $1,000 product. You just made $10,000 off of a $1,000 ad. So again, that's really good ROI. You would just keep multiplying that, knowing that you kind of have that formula figured out. So, I mean, as interns, you're not necessarily expected to know that type of stuff. It does help. I mean, it's super simple to grasp. But I mean, if you are looking at internships and they're asking like all these advanced reporting and stuff like that, that might be a sign that they're just trying to hire someone for free. But have them do, a $60,000 a year type job. So you got to be a little bit wary because there are a lot of companies who will take advantage of the whole internship and just try to get as much free or cheap labor as possible. And then as far as the certification type stuff, a lot of people ask that, like, what are the good certifications that we should be looking at? Honestly, and Market Campus, we have a certification, right? But I'll still be honest and say that your certification should not be the focus. That should be one of the last things. Like that's just to kind of put the cherry on top of an already good resume. And what makes a good resume is experience and passion. If you know me, I've been saying this for years and years and years. Every marketing manager or hiring manager that I talk to, those are the big things they look for. They don't necessarily care anymore that you have a 4-year degree. They really don't care as much about a certification just because, especially with the free ones, it's hard to get a lot of value out of a free certification. Not saying that you won't learn something, but the company knows that that was a free certification that you got in 3 days or even 2 weeks. That's one thing that kind of sets Market Campus apart from many of the other certifications out there. It's paid, and we require students to be learning for 60 days before they can take the exam. And then they have to get a passing grade in order to get certified. So there's a little bit more work that's involved, and companies notice that. They know the certifications that take more work, more time, and even money to get, and that says something. But at the end of the day, I know people who are well decorated with marketing certifications who are unemployed, and it's because they believe themselves that they should be making 80 or 100K, and so they refuse to take anything less. but the reason that they're not getting hired, not only because of their stubbornness, but because they don't have the real world experience. And you don't need to get hired on at a company to get that experience. That's what's so cool about the internet today is you can make money in so many ways. As long as you have interest in it, you can find ways to make money. If you love football jerseys or you love sports jerseys and uniforms and keeping track of all that stuff, start an Instagram account and start highlighting the cool jerseys and stuff that you see out there. People will follow because there are other people who have those interests. And even if you don't make money, that's still something that you can bring to an interview and show them. So if you're interviewing for a social internship, make sure that before that internship, you have some social experience other than you just posting on your personal Twitter and Instagram. That's not going to cut it. You've got to really show that you know how to grow a channel. If you're going in for analytics, make sure you're familiar with this kind of stuff. Everything is free to use for the most part, and you can get a lot of experience from there. And also, I guess I'll end it on this with this question. As far as getting the most out of a digital marketing internship, just go in with a mindset that you're going to be an employee there. Like an internship, really, whether you believe it or not, it's an interview. Many times it's a paid interview that lasts for many weeks or many months, and they're really vetting you to see, are you someone that we could bring in to our company? And if you're the guy or girl that takes the initiative, you don't wait to be trained, you are really going to stand out. Too many interns, and I've worked with a lot of interns at multiple companies, and the interns that just sit around and wait to be trained are the ones that no one likes to work with, and you are the last on the list to get hired. And the ones that come in and just really own it and come in with ideas, and not just ideas, but they execute without having to be asked. Those are the ones that get the job. They don't expect to be trained. And I get an internship, there is some training involved, but go in with the mindset that you're going to be guided, not trained. So go about these things, and then the company will be happy to kind of help guide you in a better direction. But what they hate to do is, you basically want me to be a university, and we're going to sit down and train you every day. Companies don't have time for that. Even with internships, that's very, very tough for people. So you really got to stand out and just be the employee. Assume that you're going to get the job and really invest in the company. You might be putting in some extra hours outside your internship, but man, does that help you stand out against the other internships. And often, even if your skills are a little bit lacking, that devotion, that passion, that work ethic, that's often going to get you into that position there. So I'm not sure if we have any other questions. I know we're running up right against the half-hour mark here. But this was super fun, and I think we got all the questions answered here. If you're watching this, whether on YouTube or on Facebook, definitely on Facebook, just go ahead and you can leave comments below for future questions, as well as YouTube. We'll try to keep track of those. But we will be having another jam session next week here on Facebook. Same time, same day. We have a new event created for that. So just go to our Market Campus page on Facebook. You can click our logo. I'm not sure where it is, whether you're on mobile or desktop there, but go to our page, check out the events, and you'll be able to RSVP for the next one. And feel free to share this if you got any value out of it. And just general feedback. If you hated it, let us know. If you loved it, let us know. The more we can hear from you guys, the more effective it is. And for those who are interested in really diving in, who are not Market Campus students, I would highly suggest taking a look at our online options as well as our in-person cohort. If you live here in Utah, we have another cohort starting on September 12th here in Utah, and that goes for 8 weeks. It's a flipped learning approach, super effective for your startup or for your project, or even if you're a marketing team. We have all sorts of students that come through that, or at least just the online, which is a little bit more affordable. It's self-paced, you get lifetime access, but that will help you really get stuff off the ground. So it's kind of a one-time small investment, and you'll be saving a lot of money in the future from not wasting money on different SEO campaigns, paid campaigns, all of that stuff. So I think that's everything here. Thanks so much for those who are joined. This is our first session, so I expect not a huge turnout, but hopefully we can kind of keep growing this every week. and make this something that will really be fun and effective for all of us. If you want to learn more about us, check out marketcampus.com. I'm Brandon Hassler, and really fun hanging out with you guys. So take it easy, and we'll see you guys next week.